The Queen Zenobia.
Approaching Resident Evil Revelations Unveiled Edition is tricky for me. As a long-time fan of the series, the original 3DS release was the closest Capcom had come to recapturing the feel of the original titles. Unfortunately, as an HD port, Unveiled Edition falls a little short. Revelation's story is wonderfully complex. It centres around a bioterrorist group called Veltro, which is planning to unleash a new form of bioweapon on the world. Their T-Abyss virus is much like its Umbrella precursor, except it focuses on aquatic life, basically turning guppies into sharks. As part of this plan, they have kidnapped Resident Evil mainstay Chris Redfield and his partner Jessica, a woman with breathtakingly inappropriate dress sense. Believing that they are being held on the Queen Zenobia, a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, anti-bioterrorist group the BSAA send Jill Valentine and new addition Parker to find them. The primary setting of a cruise ship allows the game to revert to the series' claustrophobic feel, while the story, that jumps between multiple locations and time periods, injects some interesting variety. The initial hook is quickly lost in a sea of twists and double crosses, which build to an entertaining but confusing story, and leave you pondering why Veltro ever wanted to get the BSAA involved in the first place. There is a lot of classic Resident Evil rolled into Revelations, though at times it feels a little like it's just paying lip service to what I really want, that being a return to the mansion setting. It still proves satisfying. The ship harkens to the classic era of backtracking and exploration. True, this was originally to limit the world size for the handheld version, but I won't complain if it gives me more of the Resident Evil I want. Moving the game to the big screen does solve the original's issue of control, providing a second analog stick without the need for a clunky peripheral. It is thanks to this that Revelations now defaults to shooter controls over the classic tank controls, as while Revelations does offer a slower pace of play to Resident Evils 4, 5 and 6, when things do heat up the action does get quite intense. Normally when managed well, this proves a good thing, with the ferocity of the action creating tension through a lack of resources. There are times however that Revelations struggles in its action scenes, usually during boss fights. This misstep pales into insignificance however when compared to the scanner. It is a device that could have helped in alleviating the standard Resident Evil issue of combing the environment for the next clue, but Revelation simply uses it to add new invisible items to the world, creating even more tap to find. Everything up to this point could just as easily have been a discussion about the handheld version, but it is in the update that Revelation starts to flounder. Graphically it looks okay, but this is more a testament to how fantastic it looked on the small screen, rather than of Capcom's work on the remake. Plus, the larger scale reveals many of the visual flaws. Every one of the game's enemies is coloured the same drab grey, so, bar an array of arm growths and spikes, there's little to set their shambling gelatinous humanoid forms apart. This makes unloading clip after clip into their resilient bodies quickly feel repetitive. Blowing up the screen size hasn't simply highlighted existing issues, with some noticeable compression and blurring. Revelation's edition of Raid Mode does a nice job mixing up the standard Resident Evil multiplayer. This mode sees you pick a character, their weapons, and any upgrades you may have acquired to speedrun sections of the game. Numbers to indicate damage fly off the enemies with each hit, lending an arcadey feel to the action. Resident Evil Revelations is, for my money, the best Resident Evil game in years. If you haven't played it yet, and like me, you're a fan of Capcom's B-movie horror stylings, then the Unveiled Edition is hard not to recommend. Just be prepared for its technical failings.
What is this?
Tune again soon for more reviews. Remember to visit playdevil.com for all of your gaming news.